Hello and welcome to the Spirit Ninjas Spiritual AF podcast.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so juiced you're here because we just had such a freaking awesome conversation with Stephanie Bellinger.
Yeah, the one and only founder of Spiritual Boss Babes.
Yeah, this conversation was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
We talked about all sorts of really fun stuff from manifesting to conscious business to plant medicines. Like, what didn't we talk about?
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
I feel
it
like
was so good, though.
Yeah, it was. So stay tuned for a conversation with Stephanie. She is a mindset coach and a business coach for other spiritual boss babes.
It's so good, guys. Listen after the break. Oh, and please hit that subscribe button so that way you're informed of all of our juicy episodes because this stuff will change your life.
Hey, you just turned into the Spirit Ninjas Spiritual as podcast, the show that aims to inspire, uplift, and questions everything. And now your hosts, Bart Holly and Holly Emerson.
All right, so we're rolling here. Stephanie, welcome. We're so juiced that you're here with us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on our podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited.
So fun. And Stephanie, you are the spiritual boss babe.
I am the spiritual boss babe, yes.
Yes. I
Super
love
awesome.
that name, by the way.
Thank you. It was inspired, actually. I used to do personal training, and I had a fitness business. So my thing was Fit Girl Boss because I have, gangster stuff, my alter ego. So
Yes.
I infused it with my spiritual business once I transitioned.
Yeah. Cool.
So fun. I gotta say, I just love your branding. It's just so fun and light and, everything's spiritual as fuck. And it's so much fun. And I love that because spirituality really turned me off for so many years because I had this image that to be spiritual or to explore this whole thing would mean that I would be wearing some little loincloth somewhere, hanging out in a mountain.
Yeah, you
Just
can't
be really
you can't
weird.
swear, you can't drink, you have to be vegan, you have to have all these rules. And so your branding is awesome because
Thank
it
you.
breaks a lot of what people think around spirituality, I think anyway.
Totally.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. It's shifted over the last year or two, and it's pretty interesting because I had no freaking clue what I was doing at first.
Nice.
Nobody does.
Yeah, right? We're all just winging it.
Yeah,
So
totally.
tell us a bit about your story. Deep. I'm just, I don't even know how to speak anymore. Tell us a little bit about your story. What got you to the place where you are today?
Oh geez, I don't even know where to start. So I guess I'll start with my core story, which is when I was 14 to 20, I was in a really abusive relationship, physically, mentally abusive, and that's a really young age, first of all.
Yeah, I was gonna say
to get into that.
14,
So
wow.
those years are critical, So during that time, I had really low self-esteem to even, get into that experience. But during that time, it really helped me go within and remember who I was. So I'm actually grateful for it because that experience gave me the greatest gift of my life was to learn self-love. So, and I actually didn't realize that lesson until recently on a mushroom journey. But so anyway, during that time, I started getting into fitness and working out, and I lost 60 pounds.
Wow.
And that was when I was oh wow, okay, I'm doing this stuff for me. This is helping me build confidence. And I started talking back to him in my head, instead of believing the stuff he would say, the mean stuff or whatever, and the manipulation, I started in my head talking back you're just a fucking asshole. Sorry, am I allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
And eventually I left him, which is another story in and of itself. That's quite the story. But
Jeez.
I finally left him, and it was like that moment, that day actually was the best day of my life, like seriously. And it was like from that day forward where I had just this like just unshakable determination to like change the world, make a massive impact, like follow my dreams, like do every single thing I ever wanted to do. And it was like this this fire that was just like, you know, lit within me. It was like freedom. And so I moved to New York City after that and started like following my dream of, I was a makeup artist back then, or that's what I wanted to do, because art is like part of my theme, part of my purpose. So I just started following my dreams, and it just really shifted a bunch of times until where I am now. It wasn't until I started helping people through health and fitness that I realized I was meant to help people, like in a deeper way. And then that transitioned more into like mindset and spiritual growth, because the spiritual thing has always been with me. Like when I was in the relationship, I would do angel cards, I would meditate, I did all the crystal stuff. I was like all into psychics and all the woo since I was really young. So that in addition to the fitness stuff gave me the strength to leave. It was a lot with like the angels and stuff. But yeah, when I started helping people, I realized that that's what I'm meant to do. And it just shifted as I continued to grow and evolve into doing what I am doing now. And it all makes sense looking back. It's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's such a journey, right? Like you think you're heading in one direction, but as long as you're listening to that guidance or the intuition and you're doing your practices, you're meditating or whatever your jam is, then everything unfolds in such a interesting way, but you're just kind of guided, and you're given experiences that will later serve you that you don't even know why you had to have them. Mm-hmm. But then looking back, you like connect the dots, and it's super fun.
Yeah.
It's so like fascinating to me.
Yeah. It's like every time I do that, I'm like, oh man, universe, you are so impressive.
Yeah.
Like, way to go. I couldn't think of that.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So how long have you been Spiritual Boss Babe?
It's actually pretty new. I started that maybe like almost 2 years ago. Not even 2 years.
Nice. Well, it's grown so much.
Yeah. It's funny because like when I was transitioning from health and fitness coaching stuff, I was doing that online too. And so like I was branding myself with that. That's when I learned all of like the stuff. Like my first website looked so pathetic compared to like everything. That's how I learned. So I was branding myself as a fitness person online and building my following and like sharing my message. And I still shared a lot of mindset stuff and motivation and manifesting and all that stuff. But it was more heavily fitness focused. Then I transitioned. When I transitioned, I went through this period, I'm sure you guys can relate, of like feeling like a complete failure. Like I had built a 6-figure business, personal training, in New York City at the time. And it just, my fucked up beliefs got in the way about stuff. And my biggest fear of everything crumbling beneath me happened. So I went from like this, what I felt was really successful, to like a year later having to go get a bartending job again on the side, and like barely being able to pay my rent. Mm-hmm. And so I was learning all this stuff. That's when I was like, well, screw it. I'm going to move across the country to Austin, Texas, and just really figure this out, because I was feeling pulled to do something more than fitness, but it was hard for me to let go because fitness is a huge passion of mine. Sure. So it was like a really hard like transition to like accept, even though I loved both. And then that's kind of in Austin really was when Spiritual Boss Babe was like born. I was doing my crystal jewelry on the side because I was like, let me just do some of my art stuff and just sell this stuff on the side while I figure out what I'm doing. And then the jewelry took off, and it actually happened to be aligned with the whole thing anyway, which is really interesting.
Of course.
And it just kind of started evolving there. That's like when the seeds were planted. I started my Facebook group, and I started like really sharing my message and like getting more clear about things. And then when I moved to, right now I'm in Tampa, Florida. Then it really took off. Last year, really, like actually maybe around this time last year, it started taking off. I started actually making more money, and like my Facebook group is nearly 30,000 people now.
That's huge.
Yes.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah,
it's
congratulations.
so fun.
It's amazing when you step in alignment with what you're meant to do, then the universe just like floods in and helps and supports you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So do you still do your crystal jewelry?
Yeah, I do. I am not doing it as much. But I do still make pendants, and they're really, I wish I was wearing one right now. I don't have one right by me. It's in the other room, but they're really like amazing.
They are.
Yeah, I saw some online on your website.
Thanks. Yeah,
so if
they're
anybody wants
really
to check
awesome,
it out,
and they're fun to make. What?
If somebody wants to check them out, they're at spiritualbossbabe.com.
Yeah.
And you can see them there. And actually, you know what? In this video, I'm going to post some pictures of them as well, because they're super awesome.
Thank you. Thanks. It's been evolving, like, as I've been making them. I love making them. It's like, that is my, like, meditation therapeutic time. I love creating. I'll never stop. Can I make like 1 million pendants a week? No, because I'm like, doing other stuff, but I do still make them, and I love making them. And I've been getting way more custom orders than anything, so it's been slower for me to actually make them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which I'm not even able to really take any custom orders anymore.
Yeah. It's a great problem to have.
Yeah. So what are your favorite crystals? Like, do you have some go-to crystals?
Oh, I definitely love selenite. I'm like holding it right now. I always hold it when I do videos.
Nice. I have Lumerian quartz crystal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's
I always
so
hold this
pretty.
one too.
I
I
have
have
so many
selenite, but it's in
favorites.
Canada. I left it there. I miss it.
Aw.
So tell us about what selenite is good for and the benefits of it.
Selenite is like known to cleanse your space and also like cleanse other crystals that are around it. It's one of those stones that like don't ever need to be cleansed because it's just naturally does it. But what I really like selenite because I started noticing that it helps me stay grounded and also helps me like channel what I'm meant to share. So that's why I like to hold it or have it near me when I'm making videos or like when I'm, doing something creative, because I feel like I'm accessing the larger part of me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's amazing how when you kind of get out of your own way, like Holly and I do this very similar, like I don't hold a crystal personally, but I definitely try, like anytime I go to talk to someone or I record a podcast, I definitely try to like just get out of my own way. And it's funny because I remember in my corporate career back in the day, I was a sales guy. So I was the front facing person of the company, and I would go see clients, and sometimes the company would screw up, and I would be like totally afraid because I would be the one that was getting kicked in the teeth. And when I would show up, I would sit in my car before I would head into their office, knew that I was going to get my head ripped off. And instead I would just go into meditation and try to get out of my own way. And then I would step into the office and everybody was just nice as pie. And I was expecting that things were just going to be terrible and fall apart. And yet somehow every time things just became so easy.
Well, that's so cool.
That power that divinity has, or the universe or whatever, is incredible when you actually get to use it in your day to day, no matter what it is that you're doing.
Yes, it's so true. I just learned like one of the most simple but profound lessons last night, actually.
Do tell.
And it's so funny because like I never really realized it. Like I've been doing all this work and stuff, and like I've been doing some of the things that I'm gonna share in a second, but I never really realized how profound it is until last night during my little journey.
Yeah.
So basically it was to the two words were intentional living. Everything you do it intentionally. Even from like making your bed in the morning to like savoring every little bit of the experience you're in right now. Like when you're preparing a meal and, you know, you're like sitting down to enjoy the meal, and like when you're folding your clothes, or like everything you do it intentionally. And like that's the key to co-creating your experience.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, because I guess when you're focused and you have your intention on it, you're really in the moment so much more.
Yeah, like, and I think it relates to like all other areas of your life, you know, like if you have a nice, clean, organized, you know, a place, then it just reflects in other areas of your life. If you feel relaxed and abundant and just by enjoying a meal, then it's like going to spill over in other areas of your life. It was crazy. You know why? Because I have moved over all around so many times, like you guys, but I've like moved places many times. And so I never really like took the time to really make it home. You know what I mean? Or I was always in a rush, and I swear, guys might laugh, but I literally never sit down when I eat, ever. I always just like make my food, eat it standing up, and like go on with my stuff. And so last night I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. I'm going to get a chair. I'm going to make a beautiful plate. I'm going to light some candles, and I am going to sit down and enjoy this meal.
Oh, beautiful.
And it was like the most simple thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never do this for myself. Like, because in my mind, it's like, oh, it's not that important. Like, I'm on the go. Like, I don't mind standing up and whatever. And it's like, no, like slow down and really take everything in, because that is how you create in your life, by being there in the present and not just going through the motion.
And you know what the thing is with that intentionality piece, when you're able to create that intention before you do even the simplest task, like washing your hands, taking a shower, or eating a meal, then you just get in the practice of doing that when you're called to do bigger things. And then you just practice, like it just becomes like your natural thing, and you're just naturally co-creating with the universe. The Course in Miracles has a lot to say about that. They're like, you're supposed to start off the day in a meditation where you set your intention for the day, and then it encourages you that, you know, every hour you're supposed to take just a few minutes just to set the intention for the next hour, and then the next hour, and the next hour. And I mean, it's hard to practice that. Like I have a little reminder on my phone that goes off every hour, like be mindful, mindfulness reminder. And then half the time I just get annoyed. I'm like, stupid thing, shut up.
I think that it's
the practice.
I will personally, from what I realized last night, think that it's easier to do it when you're in the action of something. Like, yeah, okay, meditate and think about it. That's great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. But like the action of something, like even if it's like you know,
deep breath,
or like
just the doing, yeah,
like things that are important, like when you start your day, and when you make your bed, and when you prepare your things that you need to do to survive, or like prepare your food, or when you're just taking a walk, and just like, you know,
what a great realization.
What?
I said, this is a great realization.
It was. And like, I do it with some things, right? Like I do it for myself, for the gym, like for working out. That's how I lost all the weight I lost. I did it for things that I've created in my life. But now that I realize like the areas that I really wasn't doing it in, which are the most important areas of all, your home.
Yeah.
It's just changed everything. 'Cause like now I know that I'm like legit going to be able to just manifest things like record speed because of this new thing that I realized. I really truly believe that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love it because usually we're just so busy, and like you said, it's like certain things will be intentional about that action that we want to take, and we'll set intentions and we'll go towards that and be present in those moments. But then it's almost like this subconscious judging of other moments where we're like, well, this isn't as important. I'm just going to speed through this, or I don't have to make my bed this morning, or whatever it is. But no, it actually, like, I love that because it's a great reminder for myself as well to be mindful and present intentionally in like every moment, because they all matter, because this is the only moment that exists now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, so I think the rest of today also I'm going to clean out my freaking apartment and like throw everything away that I don't need.
Oh yeah. You just shift the energy. It'll be so good.
Yeah. You know what's so funny is that literally I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, Holly and I had a little journey ourselves, and the next day, like I had this like realization that we needed to clear out the energy in here. And the next day we spent the entire day cleaning. We made our bed in the morning. We refreshed everything. We opened the curtains, like just let the light in.
Yeah.
And
it was so funny.
And from that moment forward, like the last 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it's been, have been on fucking fire. Like
really?
Holy crap. The amount of stuff that we've been able to accomplish, and the synchronistic stuff that's happened, the connections that we've made, the amount of work that we've been able to get done it's
night and day.
We haven't been able to create this much stuff in the last like 4 or 5 months combined.
Wow.
And now in just a month, we've been able to just take things to another level. And it all started with just clearing it out, setting that intention, getting up early in the morning. So that was a big one for me. Like, because here in Spain, we would stay up quite a bit because we're trying to serve the North American market. And then we were working at all sorts of weird hours. We would sleep in till like 1, 2 o'clock. Like just kind of, fumble out of bed and just kind of try to figure out your day. But when we started actually setting that intention, we would get up early. I did my meditations. I did my practices. And then we began our day like before 9 a.m., which is incredible for us. And holy crap, what a difference.
Yeah.
It's been nuts.
That's
I'm
amazing.
I'm juiced just even thinking about that.
So,
I know. I could feel your excitement. That's so awesome, though. Like it's like the little things that really change everything.
It is, yeah. Yeah, so many times we're so focused on trying to life hack our way through everything, and it's just like, no.
We miss the simple things that make the biggest difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a little TED Talk that I watched about, I think it was an army general that he went on stage and he was all talking about the value of making your bed in the morning, intentionally getting up and, doing the whole military thing around the bed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how there's so much value in that because that sets the stage for the day.
Yes.
It becomes like a little ritual, a little practice. And then you close off that chapter of your nighttime. Now you're ready to step into a different energy in the day. And then boom, you create some magical shit.
Totally.
It's so true. And I like never used to do that, really.
Well, everything's going to change now.
Yeah. And I'm not like going to be wearing my pajamas all day when I'm working either.
Yep. Totally.
Awesome. So what, like if people want to connect with you, what is the main thing that you do in helping spiritual entrepreneurs?
I do a lot of stuff, like mainly with mindset stuff, like really helping people create the life and business that like seriously sets their soul on fire. So that involves a lot of mindset stuff, like to help people navigate around the things that are slowing them down and holding them back, and just really sharing my personal message and my personal experience and lessons that have helped me do what I'm doing, because I know so many people have like a deep burning desire to make an impact and change the world, but it's like challenging to do that when you're like still like, struggling with like getting in your own way and everything. So the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I know that together we can really make a huge ripple impact in the world. The more of us like spiritual entrepreneurs, light workers, whatever you want to call it, the more of us who actually step into that role and answer that calling and move through the fear, because sometimes it's like scary because you're like, wow, my purpose feels bigger than me. And it probably is, but it's okay. Like you need to become the person that you're meant to be in order to live that out, because this is your purpose and you are meant to do this. So it's time to evolve and expand. So that's what I'm all about. That's what I talk about, topics on that, and like just really help people through my programs and stuff with that. And also I happen to be a marketing nerd and like just obsessed with like, you know, learning how to market myself and the tech side of things, like the branding. That's kind of like the artist in me, right? You know, like how I do the crystal jewelry, the whole like business side. I'm not saying I love everything about it, but like just putting things together in place and like being able to actually create this thing that you're trying to create, whatever it is, especially online, because you could reach the world online. So I teach people how to do that too, like as far as getting clear about their message so they can speak to their people more clearly, knowing who they're serving, actually setting up their you know, platform and growing their audience and being able to share their message and create their programs and courses or whatever it is they're, you know, to get it out there, because it's time for us to like all rise together, you know? Like there's a big movement going on right now and it's freaking exciting.
It is.
It is exciting.
And you see the old structures, like things are falling apart. And this is where you see like all the turmoil, like turn on the news, right? Like Mr. Trump. There's stuff going down.
Yeah.
But all that old stuff has to fall apart as people step into their life mission, and we're going to be able to create a new world. Like this is what's happening now. Whether people realize it or not, we're stepping into something totally different.
Yeah. And it's funny because sometimes I wonder if it just seems like we're stepping into a new reality because we've expanded.
Yeah.
Or if like
totally
things are really changing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this gets into like a whole other conversation around like timelines and dimensions, and because
which
I think
look into a lot.
it's like I think everything exists at the same timeline. You know, like there's still a version of myself that's still in Vancouver working in my old job in this very moment. But, you know, I'm also here, but this is where I'm present to. And so wherever your consciousness expands to, that's kind of the reality that you do live in. That's kind of what I think is possible.
The quantum field of infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating.
It is
I have
really
this book that I actually want to finish reading. It's, if you guys want to check it out, it's called Divine Matrix.
Ooh.
It's like all about like quantum physics and the way things. I got it. It's funny because another journey I had, I was learning all this stuff that I couldn't explain, and it was about like the landscape of consciousness, and like I was just getting all this information, and I understood it, like what was going on, but I didn't know if I would ever be able to explain it. So I was at the bookstore the next day and I saw this book, and it like I read the back of it and I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I was experiencing. I'm going to get this book.
So good.
That's cool. So really we'll have to check out that book.
Yeah.
It's fascinating stuff though. I definitely geek out on all the science part of it. That's my jam. And that's actually what convinced me to get into spirituality or like explore it more, because at first, if there wasn't anything to back it up, I wasn't into it. And then, I started reading like Lynn McTaggart's Intention Experiment and these other books. And now there is this entire field of study, quantum physics, that explains a lot of the stuff that these mystics have been talking about for so many years. Like the quantum field and anything being possible and everything existing at the same time.
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps as you're saying that.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun because like literally, okay, so there's me here, like we're sitting here on this in this existence having this conversation, but then there's also another version of me that in the next hour is gonna, I don't know, become some bigger version of myself. And it's like when you raise your consciousness, you actually step into a different reality.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how fast things can change, because with the law of attraction, we think that we're actually attracting things to us, but it's like we're actually stepping into a different reality. And things can change so freaking fast.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating. I've been making videos about this a lot, actually, in my group, stepping into a new reality. It's like
awesome,
crazy how fast things can change, but it's like the ego always kind of gets in the way of bringing up those old stories. And it's interesting because another thing I learned on my journey last night is I actually really became friends with ego.
Yeah.
And
this topic's been
I
up for me
realized that when you remove the mask of ego, you're able to just not hear the stories and not pay attention to the stories, but you can still see the parts of your being that need attention, whatever that is. So you don't have the stories, but it's like, okay, there's still a hurt little girl there. Let me give her some loving. And, it's interesting. It's like you don't get sucked into the stories, but you still see there's these little pings of things that stabbed my soul or whatever, in whatever way. And it's just it's amazing. And it's like the ego is kind of like a computer, right? So it has all of these patterns and records it keeps. Yeah. So last night I also learned that there was a pattern. There was a deep-rooted pattern that was in the undertones of my programming, and I literally just plucked it out and took it out of the hard drive.
That's awesome.
I know this you guys don't think this sounds crazy, so
no, not at all.
But some people might. But it was interesting because it was it's with my artwork. With anything I've ever done art-wise, my jewelry, everything, I absolutely love it. It's amazing. I'm confident about it. I don't care if people buy it, if people don't buy it. I still love it and think it's freaking awesome, and I always have. So when I realized that in this journey, I was like, okay, that has never been a question for me. So clearly, I do think I'm good enough. The I'm not enough thing is the biggest thing. So when I saw that example, I was like, okay, clearly I do think I'm good enough with that. So what else needs to be cleaned up here? What is, that sometimes it surfaces, and I'm not saying it's going to go away forever, but I wanted to clear out whatever else was there. And because it's way different than the art stuff, right? It's been way different than that for me. So it was fascinating. It was undertones of the I'm not good enough, or what I say or share doesn't matter. I was trying to actually pinpoint what exactly it was. I don't think that's that important, as important, but I was just curious. But I removed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Saying things aren't ever going to come up, but I certainly did change something around drastically.
Yeah, there's a layer that's been removed. Yeah.
I felt it, and whatever what it looked like to me also was some kind of DNA upgrade.
Nice.
That happened.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating, guys. I am so fascinated with the plant stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason why it's been used for, thousands of years by different tribes and shamans and stuff. There's no doubt about it. It's here for a reason.
Yeah.
The way I see it.
Have you watched Joe Rogan's podcast with Paul Stamets?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of his YouTube/podcast though. I don't know if I've seen that one, but I know he does share about it a lot.
Yeah.
Paul Stamets is this huge actually he's the world's most leading expert in mycology, in the study of mushrooms, and it is so fucking fascinating. You have to watch it. It's mind blowing, crazy.
Remind me, and I can send you.
It's
link.
So good.
And maybe we'll just put it in the
Yeah, everybody should watch it because it's so mind-blowing.
It's crazy because ever since I started working with the plant stuff, like it's been almost 3 years now. I started with ayahuasca. I just feel this strong call to like share about it, like a lot. It's weird. Not weird, but it's like just this, it's kind of like this like new like burning desire / passion to like want to share a message. But I'm still learning too through my own experience with it. But it's amazing. And I have been. I'm going to be leading a group in Peru with one of my girlfriends next November or March, next March.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very
cool. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, there's a reason why the plants are here, and they have such a, like you just get like such a different access to reality, and you tap into a different part of yourself. And man, everything that's been happening like in the whole world, like since the 70s, like since it's been outlawed essentially, and now it's making its revival, because it's not a coincidence that things are really shifting in our world right now. Right? And then there's also this like uprising of plant medicines and people exploring their consciousness, and it's the conversation's been opened again, which is very fascinating.
Yeah, totally.
So fun. So fun. So what else? What was like your biggest aha last night? What like blew your mind? I mean, I know it's sometimes hard to pick one, but
there was a lot. I mean, I
still processing.
Well, I am, but like during the journey, I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing. Like all these things I'm learning on all these different levels. It was mostly like, cause sometimes sometimes I'll learn stuff like on a collective level that doesn't have anything to do with me. But last night it was really about the whole reason, the whole thing about like plucking out the program was huge, because you can actually do that, from what I gathered, in like a normal meditation too. Like if you go deep enough, like you can like literally clear out like the hard drive. And during that time I was like, is it really that easy? Like, and the answer was like, yeah, it is. Like you can actually upgrade your hard drive, like your programming. So that was huge. I'm still figuring out how to explain how to do that and like share how to do that with people. And then mainly being intentional. And it's funny because I didn't realize that until I got up. Because like at the end of the journey, I got up and I was like going to make myself a nice little feast of snacks and fruits and stuff. And while I was doing that, that's when the whole thing came from, like, oh my God, girl. Like, cause I was standing and I was like, I want to sit. I want a candle. I'm going to bring the meditation music with me. I'm going to light another candle. I think I want this. And like, I was just like, this feels amazing.
Nice. And
the whole downloads for being intentional came then, but it was a lot of stuff. It was definitely life-changing and fascinating, exploring consciousness. Like I love being able to like literally travel through consciousness. Like there's no, like, it's like all the dimensions of like space and time and everything are like open. It's like it opens this door. And since I've been doing it for a while, I feel like I really can navigate it really well. So I get to work with it, and I get to ask all these questions and like decide, like maybe if I'm shown something and I want to explore that a little bit more, then I can, or I can go in a different direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It
totally.
absolutely does.
Totally makes
So-
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to healing the programming, because I know, I'm sure there's a lot of resistance from people listening to this about plant medicines and so on. Like there's still a huge taboo around it. So if you're called to do it, fantastic, all the power to you. If you don't, that's totally okay, because ultimately you have access to that entire realm in any single given moment. And it's like what Ho'oponopono says, how it's like all the programming just keeps replaying in your life. And we talk about this quite a bit. Like there's certain situations in your life that just keep coming up over and over and over and over. And it's just like the universe giving you signs and like a reflection. It's like a mirror of the stuff that you need to heal. Well, most people don't pay attention to it, and then it gets worse, and then it gets louder, and then it gets worse and louder, and then we still don't listen, and then things fall apart. However, in meditation, when you start bringing up those things, when you actually feel those emotions, then what happens is, like, if you can get out of your own way, divinity, consciousness, the universe, whatever you want to call it, actually is able to work through you to heal those things. Those layers, it's like a light being beamed into your being that just literally melts away those hidden layers, those hidden beliefs, those past traumas, and then you no longer have to deal with those beliefs, those past traumas. They just get dissipated, just like that.
Yeah.
Yep. And you don't even need to you don't need to relive it. You don't need to understand why or all the details.
No, it doesn't matter.
You can just simply remove it.
Yeah. Totally.
Like the pattern.
Yeah.
But you still need to tend to yourself when things do come up. Like we're always going to be healing and growing, I feel.
Of course. Of course. There's so many different layers. So yeah, like, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I'm this awakened being, because I'm not.
Yeah.
And I still deal with some anxiety sometimes, and once in a while I'll feel a little bit of frustration or anger or whatever, not to the same extent that I did in the past. Like it's nowhere near that, but I'm still human and I'm still growing, and there's still fear that comes up. So you just once you've kind of embraced these tools, then it's just you now have something to use. So when things come up, and I feel it like instantly, I don't react as much anymore. I just feel it's like this like energy field. And I notice it, I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. I don't like the way that this feels. I got to deal with this because I don't like this. And that's when I go into meditation, or I just simply surrender and I say, okay, I don't like the way that I'm feeling. Please help me, whatever, deal with this, because I don't like this. Like, help me out here. And then sure enough, within 15, 20 minutes, it's gone. But before that, I wouldn't even, like, I didn't know how to react to it. I would react. I would get angry. I might throw something. I never really threw stuff.
You never threw stuff.
Yeah, it's like, it's not about getting rid of ego or anything. I mean, we do need it. Like, that's the whole human experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Being able to feel different emotions and being able to experience different things and being able to play this character of like who you are in a physical form, that's all ego. So it's not all bad. It's just our human experience. And when you learn when you expand and you grow, then you, like you said, you're able to have a different experience because you understand more of what's going on. Instead of like judging it, you have more compassion for yourself. Like you let yourself cry and punch a pillow or something if you need to. Process things. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. I feel like this whole topic of ego has come up so much in like my world lately around, before I'd always hear like, you have to kill the ego, like the death of the ego. But then now I'm so much more present to, like you were saying, like the ego is actually your friend. You don't have to kill the ego. It's like you said, we are here on this human experience, and it is a part of you while you're still human. Because if you don't have an ego, then you're actually just not human anymore.
You're just energy, whatever.
Yeah. So it is very much a part of you. And when you can embrace that and know that, okay, this is my ego, my human side, it's still a part of me. I don't have to like fight with it anymore. I can just be friends with it. And I can like invite it along with me on this journey, and it can be a part of me, but it doesn't rule me.
Like think of it as like bringing your laptop everywhere with you, and it's like it's got all these programs on it, like it's just there. It's not like it's not you. Technically it's not you, but it's part of you. It's hard to explain it, really. It's not your true self. It's just how you are in this human experience and all the stuff that goes with it.
Exactly.
But you can also change the programs.
Yeah, you can.
Update the system.
Something that I'm just reminded of right now is how, so obviously, like you can tell that I read the Course in Miracles quite a bit, and it talks about it's a phenomenal book if you can get through it, because it's
huge. I know
it's kind of ridiculous, but it talks about how it's like the ego is like children's toys, right? So at first, when you're in the middle of it, you're playing with this toy, something pops up and you get angry and like it scares you, like, oh my God, but then as you wake up, you realize it's just a children's toy. You don't need to be like yelling at it. You don't need to be screaming at it, hate it, like, yo, you stupid Jack in the Box. Like, why did you scare me? you woke up and you realize like, oh, it's just a little toy. It's like, you just withdraw your energy from it, and it no longer has the power to scare you or whatever. Like, it's still there. It's still popping up. And, its head comes up. It's like, ah!
I know.
But you realize, like, oh, it's just a toy. Like, this has
and then
no effect on me.
Yeah. It's so fascinating, guys. So fascinating.
It is. I love it. I love the constant questioning. Like, I'm definitely not like awake, and I've done a lot of healing, but there's still so many more layers to the onion for me, and I just love the constant questioning. It's like anytime I think I know something, it's like, well, do I really? Nope. Like, how can I look at this differently? Like, what am I missing? Like, where am I not seeing what needs to be seen right now? And it's such an evolving journey, and I love it so much.
Yeah, it's fun.
I
love these conversations. Like,
you never know where they're going to go.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like how you said, like there's a lot of, I don't know what the word you use again, but people like have a lot of misconceptions about the plant stuff. And I used to really care about that, and I didn't want to share it for a long time. And then I just kept reaching this point of, I really don't care. People hear me, they hear me, that's great. People want to judge, that's fine too. It's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not for everyone. But it is for those who have been really doing the work on themselves already and are in a good place mentally, are in a good place, like, mentally wise, and not in like scared or like still working through a lot of stuff.
I 100% agree. I think it's really important to have that intention going into any experience, like what is it? What's the spiritual intention behind it?
Intention is everything,
And this
and
is
I
where
feel like usually people know when they're ready to explore.
There's usually some kind of energy or just some kind of desire, some curiosity that comes up when people are ready. Because, I mean, you hear of how many people out there try this stuff, and it's like the most terrifying thing that they've ever experienced. They never want to go near it again. And that's because they weren't ready. They weren't prepared for what it was going to show you or whatever. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be this like weird, terrible, super scary thing, but you do need to be ready for it. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind.
It's absolutely beautiful in my opinion. But like I said, if I would have done it when I was, just not, I don't know what word to use. didn't work through some of the emotional things before, then I don't know if it would have been the same, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And something else that I think we should comment on is the fact that this is really, you need to treat it with respect.
100%.
Oh, yes, for
You
sure.
know, this
It's
is
not like a relational thing.
no, this is not like a party thing. Like, let's giggle, let's have some fun. Has nothing to do with that.
Like a deep meditation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you're ready, it can show you and open you up to things that you can't even imagine. I mean, it's hard to describe some of this stuff, but it's you have to absolutely treat it with respect and have that intention going into it, that this is more of like a healing type thing than just like a recreational party thing that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's totally different. I actually did mushrooms when I was, how old was I the first time? I was like, I don't know, 18 or 19. And my experience then versus now is like completely night and day. And, you know, back then it was like, well, I guess I'm just going to try it and see, you know, I'm going to like hallucinate, see what happens. And then now it's just like, no, like for me, this is like a sacred plant. This is spiritual. Like I connect with like my guides before going in. I set my intention, and like it's a very inward journey now. And now it's just like
spiritual as fuck.
Yeah, it is like absolutely
spiritual as fuck.
Yeah. yeah. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing now.
Yeah.
Night and day from when I was younger, before I had done healing work. And so, yeah, it's definitely true what you said. Make sure you're ready.
Yeah. Get grounded, you know, do your healing, do your work.
Clear your space.
Yeah.
Light some Palo Santo.
Yeah, totally. Burn some sage, get your candles. Actually, I like to do it in the dark.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Same here. I have like candles and stuff. Very zen.
Yeah, definitely. So if anybody in our audience wants to connect with you, what is the best way people can connect with you?
I would say social media. My Facebook group, Spiritual Boss Babes, is awesome.
It is. I'm in that group.
You're in there, right?
Yeah, so I can attest. It is awesome.
There's like almost 30,000 women in there, all spiritual entrepreneurs. Really supportive and encouraging space for people who are wanting to grow and evolve and live out their purpose. And then I'm also on Instagram at the Spiritual Boss Babe.
Love it. And then you were telling me that you just started a Spiritual Boss Babes VIP club.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
So I am really excited because I've been wanting to launch this forever for my community because it's grown so much, and I want to be able to work with people in a deeper way. So I created the VIP club. It's like a membership site. And there's 2 sections that I'm going to be updating regularly. One for mindset and expansion, and then the other one to grow your soul-centered business. I wanted to keep them separate because people are at a little bit different parts of their journey, and you do need both the whole time anyway.
Yeah.
So there's like a members portal, and then I'm going to be doing live monthly calls with the girls, and we have another Facebook group for that.
Very cool.
So,
and that's at spiritualbossbabes.com.
Yeah, and then I also have a spiritualbossbabe.com/VIP club, but they could find it on my site. It's super easy. And then I have a lot of free resources on there too. Like if people just want to check out the free stuff before they like jump into the VIP club, I have a lot of like challenges to make an income to impact challenge, mindset stuff. I have like all kinds of stuff for mindset and spirit and business growth. So it's cool.
Yeah. So everybody, you have to check it out. And we'll link your site below the podcast as well. So it's really easy for people to connect with you.
Big time.
Thank you.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
I know. Like I want to have you guys on my podcast whenever I start that. Which is
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super fun conversation.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was fun. Like, I can talk about this stuff like all day, as I know you guys can.
Yeah, totally. So well, you're going to have to come to Spain and hang out with us.
I know. I'm going to probably take you guys up on that.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. Literally come over the next few months because now is the best time to come. It's just, it's so nice.
Really?
Yeah. Then the tourists are going to get here in the summer and it gets really busy, but it's still amazing. So.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you so much to all of our listeners as well. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And that way it just supports us. And that way you get notified of all of our up and coming stuff.
Amazing spiritual as fuck podcasts. So you don't want to miss them.
That's right. So just like that, you know, we're just going to mic drop.
Thanks, everybody.
Boom.
Thank you for listening to the Spirit Ninjas Spiritual as Fuck podcast. Make sure to tune in next time for more deep conversations to uplift, inspire, and blow your mind. Spiritual as fuck.